Hi, this is Grandma Lori. Today's story is Up, Up, and Away. This is going to be exciting, said Mom. Eric, who was 5 years old, and his mom were flying to see Grandma and Grandpa. Eric had never been on an airplane before, at least that he remembered. Eric finished putting his favorite toys into his backpack. He would need his astronaut toy for safety. At least he'd be able to fly the plane if anything happened. "Come on, Captain Space," Eric said. "You're coming with me, just in case." With that, Eric zipped up his backpack and went downstairs, where Mom and the car service were waiting to take them to the airport. It didn't take long to get to the airport. Along the way, Eric and Mom talked about their upcoming vacation to Grandma and Grandpa. "I can't wait to see them," said Eric. "I miss them a lot." "Me too," said Mom. "You haven't seen them since her last visit." Mom thought back to how many times Eric had actually seen her parents in person. He had been born near the start of the pandemic, so he wasn't able to see them in person until after he was 3 years old. Sure, there were online calls all the time, but that didn't match the hugs Eric got when he saw them in person. "This time is going to be an extra special treat because you'll get to meet my Grandpa and Grandma," Mom said. "Wow," said Eric. "They must be so old." Mom laughed at that. As they settled into their seats on the plane, Eric looked out the window. It was so big, and there were so many people. He hung on to Mom for dear life. He didn't want to get lost. Wow! He could see the airplanes taking off and coming in. It was so busy, and the people looked like ants. Mom handed him Captain Space, knowing Eric would feel better if he sat with the captain. "This is amazing," Eric said to Captain Space. Eric was comforted when he saw Captain Space nod his head. "Hold on tight, sweetie," said Mom. "We're getting ready to take off." Suddenly, Eric heard the engines wind up. Then, he was pushed back into his seat as the plane took off. "That was great," Eric said to Mom. "Can we do it again?" Mom laughed. "Only when we go home," she said. Eric was excited when the flight attendant brought him cookies and milk. He thought she was the most beautiful lady in the world, except Mom. It was all too much for Eric. Halfway through the flight, he fell asleep. When it was close to landing time, Mom woke him up. "It's time to wake up. We'll be there in a few minutes, sweetie," she said. Eric wiped the sleep from his eyes and looked out the window. The ground looked closer, and it felt like they were going slower. "Hang tight," said Mom. "Put your fingers in your ears." Eric put his fingers in his ears as the plane touched down with a thud. Then came the loudest noise Eric had ever heard as he was pushed back into his seat again. The plane slowed quickly, then rolled along the runway. As Eric felt the plane come to a stop, he heard the captain say, "We've arrived at our destination. The temperature is mild. Please be careful as you leave the plane. Make sure you have everything you came with." All the adults stood up and started rummaging around, Mom included. "Come on, sweetie," she said as they jostled with others off the plane. Then there they were. Grandma gave him the biggest hug. Grandpa picked him up. "How are you, slugger?" asked Grandpa. It was a great start to Eric's vacation. This has been Grandma Lori. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the story. There's a link to all the illustrations in the description box. Thank you.